Hello and welcome to the 13th floor. Today it's the return of Skyscraper Stan. How you doing, man?
I'm really well.
I gotta say, you and I, today, at this point in time, two of the best dressed tall guys I know.
Yeah, I think we're looking
You're
good.
looking good, man.
Yeah,
And my
too.
daughter just made me buy this jacket because she's leaving the store that she works at that sells this stuff. So she said I have to go in and take advantage
of
the
the discounts while they can still happen.
I was like,
Well,
all right.
It's velvet, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's pretty cool, huh?
I'm into that.
So yeah, so I must say, even though it's a Saturday afternoon and we could be dressed in jeans and t-shirts,
Yep.
here we are.
I have to admit I have been wearing this shirt for 3 days straight.
I thought I noticed something. All right. Well, I'm glad you made it up here because we just managed to squeeze you in.
Yeah.
And you brought friends along with you. Ruben from Radio 13 is back behind the camera, and Roger Bowie is over there hanging out with beers, so you can't beat that.
Indeed. I think Roger was hoping the band would be here, but they've fallen asleep.
Smart. Oh well. At least you're awake. You are awake, aren't you?
Well, I appear to be.
Okay, yeah. All right. So you're here, you're on the road, we're promoting the new album, Golden Boy, Volume 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
How many dates have you done in the country already?
We've only done 2 dates in New Zealand so far, and we've only got 2 more to go. So
Okay.
it's
So you're right in the middle.
We're right in the middle of the NZ leg, and that wraps up the album launch tour. Once we get to Wellington tomorrow, that's
it.
That's it. That's the album launch tour
Then
done.
what are you going to do?
I'm going to go to bed.
Fair enough. All righty. But now, the first thing I want to talk about, since you're here, is your guitar.
Yeah.
So grab that, baby, because you were telling me this is your father's guitar.
This is not my guitar, yeah. So I'm not traveling with an acoustic, so I had to borrow one to come in here today.
Right.
And I borrowed this off my dad. Mum brought it out to the airport.
Right.
It's a lawsuit model Ibanez, so it's a copy of a Gibson guitar.
Right.
And Dad bought it when he was 16 or something, and I learned to play on it. So I was carrying this around. I just love this guitar. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one you kind of learned on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. First thing, he sort of taught me all the sort of fingerpicky stuff, like the. That was like the first thing Dad taught me on the
And
guitar.
how old were you when you learned
on
to
this
do that?
guitar? I'm not really sure. He sort of, I would have been, by then I would have been probably about 16 when he taught me to do the rolling thumb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all like, Doc Watson songs and stuff like that. It's like Dad's got a bunch of these finger picks down. And I just thought that was the coolest thing anyone could do, and he was doing them all on this. And then it was either finger picking tunes or he'd bust this guitar out when me and my sisters were on the trampoline, and he'd just strum and sing La Bamba, and we'd go nuts for it.
On the trampoline.
We'd be on the trampoline and he'd be singing
La Bamba. Kids love La Bamba. My kids, we used to have a jukebox, of course, in our foyer back in the States, where you didn't have to pay, the kids could just play. And we had La Bamba in that jukebox, and those kids would just keep playing that record over and over again,
I don't know
running
what it is
around
about that song.
until they ran out of gas. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
It's a fantastic song.
Yep. All right, so we should mention that you're not doing acoustic thing on the road. It's a full band thing.
It's a full band thing.
But you're going to do acoustic today.
I tend to do acoustic when I'm on my own some lonesome, just because I'm still learning how to control an electric guitar.
Gotcha.
They're powerful things, and they're incredibly unforgiving when you balls it up. And I'm known to balls it up. It's all part of my charm.
I'm sure it is. So the first song we're going to hear is called Flag of Progress.
Flag of Progress.
What are you going to tell me about that before we...
Well, it's about something that people in Auckland may have heard of, gentrification.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
It's probably not an alien concept to anyone around
Not here on Simon Street, no.
No. So I wrote this one. It's about sort of development and gentrification in general, but it was sort of initially focused around King's Cross in Sydney, because I spent so much time in Australia that I write a lot about a lot of Australian things, I suppose. But the way that went down, it was this gross. It was like just a big K road, and it was gross, and it was marvelous because of that. And then there was a lot of corrupt things that I feel happened where basically the whole place got sold off to the highest bidder. And being a musician who makes my living at nighttime playing venues, I just watched. I was living in Sydney a lot at the time and like coming and going, and I just watched the nightlife and the entire industry of everything that happened at night just get eviscerated. Mm-hmm. And now that entire area is completely sanitized, and I appreciate that there were problems.
Right.
There were problems, but just removing everyone that the aristocracy find gross is not really the solution that we needed. It's like,
just moving the problem somewhere else.
It's moving the problem somewhere else, and it's also like the music venues died,
Yep.
all of the security companies died, all of the kebab shops died, everything died.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. It's no fun anymore.
No, and all of that
Same thing
traffic
happened in
got
New York
routed to
City.
the casino. Right.
Right, you know, in the Times Square area, they cleaned it up, took
Yep.
all the porn away, and and then there were no rock stars hanging around.
Yeah.
It was,
Because the strip club's gone. That
Exactly.
actually features in this song.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to it.
Fantastic.
The main street after midnight is silent like the grave. They've boarded up the strip club just to teach us to behave. Now I see lawyers and auctioneers doing what they do. A place once for the many has been gifted to the few. But that's to be expected, the way that these things go. The flag of progress throws along dark shadow. That's one more for the pool room, where your photographs all hang. Hey, your lounge room has more leather than a motorcycle gang. Now see them going up on every corner. It's a guaranteed return, with a bunker in the basement should your world begin to burn. 'Cause that's to be expected, the way that these things go. The flag of progress throws along dark shadow. And so I'm sorry if I seem a little morbid. I just don't think that I can stand another front page photo of old white men shaking hands. Still, that's what I'm expecting, 'cause that's the way that these things go. The flag of progress throws along dark shadow. The flag of progress throws along dark shadow.
Okay, we're here with Skyscraper Stan. We just heard Flag of Progress. And you were telling me the story of how it was written and why. But we actually did a fairly in-depth interview a few weeks ago. I assume you remember it.
Yeah.
We went through it track by track, which I thought was really cool. And I was just kind of wondering how you if doing something like that makes you think more about the songs or helps people understand. Do you want people to hear all this stuff, or?
Yeah, well, that's actually a good question, because it's I've got things that I know where the songs came from, and I like knowing where they came from. But then sometimes people will come to me with an interpretation of the song that's actually way better than.
Yeah.
And I'll think, oh bugger, if I let you know what that song is actually about, or what that line is actually about, you're going to be disappointed, because it's really just meat and potatoes when I explain it.
Yeah.
But they've come up with this far more nuanced, exciting explanation. So I'm in two minds about it. I like explaining the songs, but I also like people to.
Yep. And they do come up with better lines sometimes.
They do, and it makes them think I'm smarter than I actually am, and I like that.
Yeah.
There's
nothing wrong with that. That's cool. Alrighty. So you mentioned, you spend a lot of time in Australia, but then you come back here, and these days there seems to be a lot going on between the countries and kind of differences in the way politics and culture and all of it. How do you find that? Because you must kind of pop in here and go, oh, it's like this now, or...
Yeah. I mean, I watch from afar what's happening in New Zealand, and having the leanings that I do, I just hope that it continues in a vein that allows the people who are doing the good things that I'm enjoying seeing to continue doing those.
Right.
Especially when you see what's happening in Australia with... I mean, we've got Scott Morrison in charge now, and he's just come out and sort of...
It's hard to remember who's in charge.
It's very hard to remember who's in charge.
Oh, yeah, I remember, yeah.
So it's ScoMo now.
Right.
And ScoMo just... He's come out and he's sort of declared that his victory was a miracle. He's sort of appearing at these evangelical events and talking about his faith, and I won't... I'll start ranting about that, so I won't. But the attitude towards the other in Australia is really problematic, and not in my bubble or in a lot of the people that I interact with. There's this massive groundswell of people who are really embarrassed by what their government is doing.
Right.
The unfortunate thing is there's also a fossil fuel industry, and that provides for a lot of people. And you've also got the gnats and things. They're out in the country and they're going door knocking. Like, my partner's grandparents hate wind turbines because some members from the gnats came around, knocked on the door and told them that wind turbines will poison their chickens or something. I don't know. But they're out there on the ground actively spreading misinformation, and...
I believe it's called fake news.
Fake news, yeah. Fake news. Well, I think that's just what they call anything that does actually have factual basis that could negate what they're saying.
I think you're right, yeah.
But it's funny living over there. I love it as a country. It's got an incredible energy to it. Australia is a really fantastic place. And I love feeling like I'm from both. I love this trans-Tasman life that I get to lead. I'm really lucky that I get to do that, because they're both incredible places. But there is some embarrassment that comes from particularly making money in Australia, because I know where that cash comes from.
Right.
And so there's blood on my hands.
All righty. Well, we'll let you wipe it off a little bit and play your guitar some more.
Thanks,
man. On Your Corner is the next song.
On Your Corner.
Anything you need to tell us about that before we hit it?
Well, I could. Or people could look up the 13th Floor track by track.
That's true. Make it all redundant.
Yeah. But you can do what you want, because somebody else put up a review of it where they had a different interpretation that I actually quite liked.
Oh.
So
you could just take that over instead.
Yeah.
Make it your own.
If you want to know what I think it's about, read Marty's article.
All right. Let's just listen to it.
Yeah, great.
watching headlines flash across my TV screen. And I've been listening to the neighbors saying things that neither of them really mean. And maybe it's just these golden days that I've been thinking of. Nostalgia with a side of deep-fried self-pity that's got me walking around in circles blind through this mist of superhero stories and pornography. Cause you know I take every little word to heart. Yeah, I keep my temper, but I'm keeping score. Tonight, I'm dreaming of a brand new start. But tomorrow, well, I'll be right back on your corner. Just like all these other men, back on your corner, with my hand out again. Static swirls like cigarette smoke up the silver screen of my memory. We return to find our hero flat on his face, somewhere along the road to an overdue epiphany. And the leading lady looks familiar. You know, I think I've seen this one before. Our hero rides into the sunset, but I'll bet that tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow, he'll be right back on your like all these other men, back on your corner, with his hand out again. So you can try to feed my appetite. Yeah, I know you got what it is that I'm hungry for. My friends all tell me I'm a real stand-up guy. But even so, tomorrow, well, I'll be right back on other men, back on
Okay, we got one more little chat to have with Skyscraper Stan before he heads off to the tuning fork, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the tuning fork? You like playing down there?
I like playing down there. They've got a fantastic system. They tend to look after us as a band very nicely. We get a little green room that I believe was once used by Katy Perry. Very exciting.
That's pretty cool.
Very exciting. And I just really like the crew that run the place. And they take it seriously.
And they seem to be artist-oriented, I think.
They are, yeah. So, and they really help out with promo and things, which is what a lot of bigger venues in New Zealand don't. In fact, a lot of bigger venues in general don't. A lot of venues in general don't.
That's a shame. You'd think you'd want to take care of your clients in some way, form, or another.
You'd think so.
Yeah. And you got vinyl as well that you're selling on the show?
Yep, got vinyl. We're nearly sold out of this pressing, which is really fantastic. We're with this little record label out of Ballarat in central Victoria in Australia. One thing I do love about the modern music industry is that a record label can literally be 3 blokes in a graphic design studio who run a record label on the side. You know?
Well, that's how they started, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of come full circle.
It has, yeah.
Because I did this really long, it involved radio documentary series. It was like 12 hours long for Radio New Zealand a long time ago. And it was all about these first like record labels that sprang up in the States after World War II. You know, like Specialty and Sun and all those. And they all started like 1 or 2 guys just sitting around in their garage.
Well, Sun was Sam Phillips, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sam Phillips, right?
By himself, sitting in an old shop front.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's how they all... One was, you know, a guy had an electronic shop, and he figured, well, that's the same thing, right? We'll make a record company. So it is kind of cool how that has kind of come around to this. And the big record labels don't seem to actually be record labels anymore. Like I spoke to someone at Sony the other day, and I asked him if they could send me a copy of some record that they had. They said, "Oh, we don't do physical copies of anything anymore."
Yeah, it's
like,
really
interesting. Oh my God!
I think that's kind of what's happening is that a lot of these smaller groups of people who are enthusiasts, essentially, and that's what our label is. It's actually they're going to be. They've flown to New Zealand.
Oh, really?
A couple of there's 2 dudes flown to New Zealand to come and hang out in Auckland. They're coming to Wellington.
Nice. Well, that's what you want, you know.
They came along to a show in Ballarat and they wanted to put the record out, and because they're passionate and they're enthusiastic about the medium itself, like vinyl, that's what they want to do. They want to put vinyls out, and so they've taken care of all the distribution, and they got us a big pressing of the vinyl and everything, and it's worked out well for us. I didn't have to throw the money down to make the records, and we've nearly sold out of them, so
everybody's happy.
They've made their money back, or they will when I give them the money. I'm still holding on to it just in case.
That's why they came over here, probably.
Yeah, they're coming to get it. I just wanted to have it on the back burner in case the drummer missed the flight or something, and I had to sort that out. But so far so good. We've got 2 shows to go. No one's got into trouble yet. Anything so.
Well, there's still 2 shows to go.
Don't jinx us. It's been really relieving not to have anyone get locked up or.
Right.
Yeah, it's been good, so I want to keep it that way.
All right, sounds like a plan. Last song you're going to do is?
Tarcutter Shade.
Yeah.
This one is very Australian.
All right.
Or at least about a very Australian place. Tarcutter. It's just kind of like a big petrol station.
Right.
In between Melbourne and Sydney, and
truck stop.
Truck stop. It's got the Truckers Memorial, which is this sort of brick wall, this wave-shaped brick wall that's got plaques all over it for all of the truckers that have died, mainly on the Hume Highway, but kind of pretty much everywhere around Australia. And you've got lots of brilliant names on there, like Bullshit Bill. Right. These are all people who have passed away. It's like the last remaining memorial to them. Their first name's not even on there. It's Bullshit Bill. But there are also a lot of nicknames in there that make you go, right, sweet, Tarcutter, sort of last bastion of the white Australia policy. It's pretty dark.
Yeah, all right, I got you.
It's pretty dark.
Well, let's give it a listen. Thank you very much for swinging by, squeezing us in, because it's always good to see you.
Fantastic to be here.
Yeah, we'll catch you the next time around again.
Cheers, Marty. Thank you very much.
blood and bone, bake on the bitumen. She's at the counter counting cars as they pull in. Cream-colored cotton clings to her skin. It's 40 degrees in the shade. The sun rises early, the evening comes late, as truckers come traveling, driving freight interstate, far from the arms of the wives they hate, on these long hot Tarcutter days. The Tarcutter days, Tarcutter days, 40 degrees in the Tarcutter shade. The Tarcutter shade, Tarcutter shade, on these Tarcutter days. Outside the boys sit stoned in a Commodore, watching time crawl by across the forecourt floor. She fixes her hair in the microwave door and ignores the Tarcutter day. The Tarcutter day, the Tarcutter day, it's 40 degrees in the Tarcutter shade. The Tarcutter shade, Tarcutter shade, on these Tarcutter days. On and on it goes, the city folk in their holiday clothes, while up and down the road the crows grow fatter. The buckled iron, the prayers for rain, the thick necks burning up the inside lane. It's enough to drive a girl insane, but what's it matter? Blowflies, black-top, bull-headed men, the trees in the heat haze shimmer and bend. They come and they go, but they never quite end, these long, hot Tarcutter days.